Ladies and gentlemen, take a seat so that we can start our closing session. Okay. So, we arrived to the end, and we have to say that we survived. We are pleased about at least I am pleased about the 4 days that we had. Fantastic days from the scientific point of view. We were very lucky with the weather. And as I said in my opening speech, each conference is unique in its own. And I think that this one is particularly unique, not only for the fantastic natural site where we are and we have been, the blue sky, the blue sea, and so on, but also because I would like to know how many of you have ever presented in a primary school. That's been a fantastic experience. It was like going back to our childhood. So I think that again, it was a nice experience for all of us. So, of course, we will have time to thank Thomas and the local organizers a lot, but let me say that we are really, as ERSA members, we have to be very, let's say, thankful to Thomas for giving us these wonderful 4 days, and I'm sure we will all remember them. I'm not going to, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you very much. I'm not going to lose some time because we have a lot to do, and we have to do a lot of nice events because we are in the session where we deliver the prizes. And Professor Hans Westlund, who is the chair of the president of RSAI, is not here with us because he had to leave. So he asked me to replace him. So now I switch on and I put on the hat of as president of RSAI, or in any case, on his behalf, I'm going to deliver the prizes of RSAI. I would like to call, well, first of all, I would like to call Thomas here to say a few words, and then we continue with other participants. Thank you, Thomas. The floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, in 1999, there was the Harvard course played by FLAD, by Luso-American Foundation, about leadership. And then these colleagues from Harvard tried to push us a little bit. And there was we organized a dinner. And then the other day they asked, was very good. And then one of us told them, come on, that was completely stupid. These dinners, we know how to organize them easily. So these things, we know how to organize easily. What we don't know in Portugal is to do more than that. Yes, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for coming. It's, we have 675 people in place, and we have people from Italy. Thank you very much, Italy, a big group. Spain, Portugal, Brazil, Japan, 24 from Japan, Chile, 2 persons, 1 from South Africa. So there are 63 countries here. So this is remarkable, not for this, but for ERSA, in fact, this worldwide presence of regional science through ERSA in the world. In Portugal, we are strange, and we are completely different from Spanish. When you say, we never say yes or no. The Spanish are very direct. We say yes means no, and no means yes. In fact, we have this sense of irresponsibility, like we did in this meeting. But irresponsibility means also trust. And trust in ERSA, in you, in the market with the restaurants, in the weather. We had 3 days. We brought the good weather to the Azores, because usually we have a green scenery, but it is gray in the clouds. Trust in risk, and life is a risk, or it is not life. So that's what we are here. And it is also trust in our institutions. So ERSA is a fantastic institution. We have a group of friends, but the things you are organizing every year is fantastic. Trust in universities and in research funding, in cities, in diverse cities. And this is something we have easily in Europe. Eventually other continents don't have these institutions in cities, universities, diverse cities that we have, and we are using it. Okay. And then, yes, then that's it. Thank you very much for being here. Well, regarding risks, tomorrow the boat trip, well, involves two things. One is the weather, the other is my bargaining with the boat trips, because 2 of them want to go, 5 of them are using some other weather not to go, and I'm fighting with them. So in a few hours I will tell you the outcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. So, as I said, we had to thank Thomas and his team for this conference, but not only. We have other friends that help us in putting this together, and one of these friends is the Joint Research Center in Seville. They really are always ready to help us in putting together this conference, and they are one of our main supporters. So I'd like to ask Andrea Conte to come here, who is the representative of JRC, to come here and say a few words. Andrea.
Thanks, Roberta. To follow up on what you said about the elementary school, one nice present of hosting the parallel session there was that we could test our skills and learn some basic Portuguese words and start learning counting until 20. So we were testing and happy to do so. So only a few words from my side to thanks ERSA, Professor Capello, the president of the association, together with APEDER Portugal, RSI, all the local partners for this very intense, exciting, successful week we spent together. Many thanks on behalf of our teams, in general the JRC. We recognize, we have flagged how important is the collaboration between our two institutions, and we really look forward to continuing collaborating and working in this area. I would like to acknowledge that this is the 5th year in a row that through different configuration, we just started before COVID, then the COVID pandemic came and forced us to rethink the way in which events in presence had to be reorganized. So we experiment on fully remote, hybrid, and now we are happily back all together, mostly all together, by keeping the hybrid. So I would like to acknowledge the very successful collaboration on professional ground, personal grounds, let me add, we are having. We are collaborating with ERSA. This year we scale up our collaboration by also being partner of the RSI, Andreas here, conference hosted in Europe, in Hungary, back in April 24. And again, we are working together with the Spanish branch, the national branch of the Regional Science Association for the national events will be in the coming weeks. These opportunities to call for other partners in other member states to come and talk to us, because we will be very happy to broaden geographically our support. And we do so, and we recognize the importance of the collaboration we have, because the JRC is the in-house science service of the Commission. We act by providing policy DGs as advice in many areas. Of course, here, our community is the community of territorial partners, but we do so by direct research, internal, but mostly by being an antenna and the bridge between the relevant scientific policy evidence that you are providing in all those events at the needs and requirements by the tight deadline on the policy side. Commissioner Ferreira at the beginning of this conference was mentioning what we have ahead. We have a new commission, we have a new parliament, there will be a new budget. So it's very important that we are working all together in order to keep and put territories more and more at the center of the policy discussions in Brussels and member states. So let me conclude by thanking you again. Keep up the very good research, especially for the young people. Come to talk to us, signal to us policy relevant papers, any scientific advancement you might consider relevant for the discussion that you might listen on the media. Hopefully see you soon in the next ERSA conference in the upcoming national events. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Andrea. As you have heard, JRC is behind not only ERSA, but also some national sections in Europe. So we are really grateful to this association, to this institution, sorry. So moving to the awards, I would like to call Andrea Caraglio and Yoshiro Igano here to the floor. And we start with the ERSA Fellow Prize. The ERSA Fellow Prize, where is Yoshiro? Where, he was around there. Ah, he's here, okay. I was saying that the RSAI Fellow Prize is, I would say, one of the most important prizes that RSAI can give. And this is the recognition of to scholars that have provided to regional science an important input. So I am delighted that this year I can deliver this prize to two very good friends of mine. One is Professor Yoshiro Igano, and Yoshiro Igano has been president of the RSAI just after me, and I remember that we worked very close together for a lot of years for the benefit of the association. So I'm really, let's say, I have a great positive feeling in providing him this recognition, which I think is totally well deserved. The second winner is Andrea Caraglio. And Andrea Caraglio is one of my scholars, young scholar, and we work together a lot, younger than me. That's always relative. Age is relative. So just by chance, I have the honor and the pleasure to provide and to deliver this award to Andrea, who is again well-deserved. He's a good scholar, a very committed one, and especially he is also, let's say, always present whenever any association needs us. I think you know him because he's the executive director, finishing his second term now, and he has given a lot of his time for free to the association and to all of us. I'm sure you know, and he likes also speaking with people, so I think you know his positive character and his wonderful human side. So we go on with where is Yunurul? So we start with Yoshiro. Here we are. Okay. On behalf of Hans Peslum and the RSAI. Wait here, then you. And then now we go for Andrea Caraglio. Yeah.
I am very honored to be given this very, very important award by Regional Science Association International. I have been so long time a part of this friendly and kind and very productive association. And if I have done something small to this community, it should be owing to all of my colleagues who gave me support and kindness. So I should like to say thank you very much, all of you, for everything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, to scare Roberta, this won't take long. She always says that when you begin like this is gonna be hell. So I will try and keep it short. It is truly a honor to be here and to receive one of the most prestigious awards of the RSAI. It's been a wonderful journey to dedicate my time to working on this field, and I would like to spend just half a minute to say thank you to a number of people that I think contributed to this unexpected achievement. Of course, I will start from my mentor, Roberta, because she's my PhD supervisor in my Italian PhD. We date back to zillions of years ago, and so let's not go into the details of how long ago this happened. I would also like to mention my the intellectual legacy that I still have for Roberto Camagni, who was also ERSA president and an outstanding scholar, and I think that most of us, anybody who met him, misses him a lot from a personal and also, of course, from a scientific point of view. I would also like to thank my Dutch supervisors. I spent a wonderful time in Amsterdam on multiple occasions. So Peter Nijkamp, Henry de Groot, who's somewhere right there, and to the wonderful people that I met in those experiences. I would like to thank all my colleagues in Politecnico because they've been wonderful colleagues and friends. I learned a lot, and I hope I will be able to learn a lot from all of them, particularly Camilla and Giovanni, the closest in terms of age, but also Roberto, Silvia, Simona, anybody working on the group. This is an incredible honor. I would like to thank Chiara and Goffredo, first row, because they withstood a lot of pressure for the time that I spent on these things. And I would like to end up on an optimistic note. If I can be appointed a fellow, anybody can. So just an advertisement. I'm sorry, I steal 10 more seconds. To become a fellow, you need good papers, and good papers can be sent to ERSA's new journal, Global Challenges in Regional Science. I'm sorry, this is very good. Do it. Thank you.
Okay. So now the Kono Prize, another RSAI prize. I'd like to call André Cartor thank you, André. This is a prize that RSAI delivers to people, to scholars that have engaged in RSAI activities and regional science activities a lot. André Tor is one of them, and I think that the prize is well deserved. He has been president of ERSA, as you have known. He has been for many years in EOC, he has been an EOC member for many years. He has been very active in the French-speaking section. I think he has also been a president of the species section. He has organized a lot of conferences and events. So I think that this prize is perfectly and well deserved. And I'm delighted to on behalf of Hans Westrun, to deliver this prize to André Tor. Thank you.
So, dear colleagues and dear friends, so I'm deeply, of course, honored and very, very pleased to receive this award, as you can imagine. So I had prepared a few words about my career, but Roberta already said them, so it's not necessary to repeat them. just to tell you that it has been a pleasure since the 80s, when I started my first ERSA Congress in the mid-80s. And it has always been very great for me to meet and to know a lot of people, and also see a lot of faces that I like and that I love in this place. So, okay, for me it was great, it was good, it has been a pleasure, and I hope it's not finished, because I hope to be there for a few times as well. So, thank you very much, and peace and love.
Okay. So now I'd like to ask Rosella to join here to present the Beckman Prize, the Martin Beckman Prize.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. I am very honored to deliver the Martin Beckman Prize. The Martin Beckman Prize is delivered each year for the best paper published in Paper in Regional Science the year before. So each year I appoint a commissions of fellows from the SSI, and they overview and review all the paper that has been published the year before. So this year I would like to thank you, Carlo Sazzoni from ERSA, Janet Kolk-Hayes from NARSC, and Frank von Hort from ERSA, and myself, for having done all this reviewing job that is not always easy given the quality of the paper that has been published. I am extremely pleased this year that the winner of the 24 Beckman Prize goes to the paper authored by Vincent Rios, Mercedes Beltrán Esteve, Lisa Giammoena, Jesus Pero Palomino, and Andres Picasso Tadeo. The topic of the paper is the quality of government and women political empowerment, evidence from European regions. This paper is open access in the last issues of Peers last year, so I would like to invite you to have a look at them. And shortly, the motivation of this award is the following. This study proposed novel contributions that shift the research frontier of the literature on the quality of the government from a regional perspective by emphasizing the relevance of the gender dimension. Referring to European regions, the author produced valuable insight endorsed by a precise quantitative evidence on the extent women's political empowerment raises the quality of the government, and in turn, this boosts female empowerment. From a technical perspective, from a methodological perspective, these people implements a very innovative methodology that addresses endogeneity with a tailored identification strategy, exploiting a method dealing with a spatial analysis in a causal framework. So I would like to invite the winner.
No, I didn't know that I was going to receive it now, so I didn't prepare nothing. Nothing. Thank you a lot, because the prize is obviously very, very important, and nothing. We will keep contributing and trying to, I don't know, to raise the bar with this type of empirical studies, and just take a look to the paper, because I think it's quite good.
Great. So now we turn the page, page 2. We have now, I would like to invite Thomas to chair the RSPP Prize Award section. Whenever Thomas is engaged, everything becomes bigger. So we have something like five winners. So
thank you very much. So RSPP has two types of awards, the awards of the paper of last year, and then the awards of the special issue, because we work on a set of special issues. So for last year, we have two awards. We have a paper by X Gao, L Liu, and D Wu, and H Yu Hu, using mobile phone data to probe the mobility related to well-being of rural residents, a case study of Chengdu, China. It was a paper for 2023, the issue 9. Focusing on Chengdu region in China, the paper uses mobile phone data to understand rural mobility and the social and neurographic factors that influence it. The look into human mobility in remote rural areas, the innovative use of big data, and the clear methodological approach allow robust new evidence on rural mobility and justify adequate advices. The other winner, the other paper award, I should tell the process is like that. We pick up each one of the special issue editors appoint one paper. So we have 10 papers, and then we have a committee of 5 people composed by Bruce Newbold, by Philip McCain, by myself, by Neil Reed, and Gordon Mulligan used to be, and now Bruce replaces him. And there is, well, the name, our colleague Plain, David Plain, from, and then we select, from these 10 papers, we select the best. These here, we select also another paper by Anna Baruffi, Eduardo Azaz, and Peter Nijkamp, Urban Agglomeration, City Size and Spatial Density Effects on Wage Flexibility, New Evidence on the Wage Curve in Brazil. The paper estimates the relation between wage gaps and unemployment, considering spatial interactions. Results shows the existence of diverse labor markets and concludes that policymakers should be aware of measures to protect formal jobs that at the local level can increase the wage with informal workers. It is clearly a very good paper, able to generate a new common sense on the functioning of labor markets when space is considered. So congratulations to both papers that they already received the prize that is allocated. I don't know if they are here. Eduardo Azar, I think he went there today. He went back home today, and if our colleagues from China are here. The second type of award is the Special Issue Award, which is designed for the, well, that's the Special Issue Award. That the paper, the special issue that won was about the impacts of COVID into the urban transportation. And it is last year we had 3 special issues that received the award. This year only one that became a little bit higher than the other special issues. And this special issue was a result of a workshop that we held here in Ponta Delgada some time ago. And it was organized, it was edited by Luafi from France, by Karima Kurtit, and by Peter Nijkamp. I think Luafi is here, or no? No, Luafi, all the 3 are here, so I think if you can come and say a few words, please.
Okay. I would like just to maybe to thank or double thank Thomas Dentino for this prize, and also for his support because this special issue is related to the workshop which took place 2 years ago in the other island of the Azores in Ponta Delgada. And so many thanks, and I would like also on behalf of my co-authors thank all the contributors, and some of them are here. I saw Patricia Melo. Well, so thank you very much.
So we move to Sébastien Bourdin for the ERSA Epinos Prize, so the prize for young people. So we move now to the ERSA prizes. Yeah.
So, dear colleagues, firstly, I would like to apologize on behalf of Frank van Oort, the president of the Epinos Committee Prize, who unfortunately could not join us here in the beautiful Azores today. Is currently occupied with the organization of the European Economic Association conference in Rotterdam, so it can explain why. So it's my great pleasure to be here to announce the winner. So we received 26 papers, including 8 online presentations and 18 on-site presentations, all of which were carefully reviewed by 3 experts. And I wanted to express my gratitude for these 12 experts that were mobilized, and they did a great job in a tight, a tight time, let's say. So we use 7 criteria, basically the relevance of the topic, the originality also of the topic, the soundness of the analysis, the validity of the results, and the contribution. So this year we received really high quality submissions and had excellent presentation and discussion, both online and on site. And after careful consideration, the jury has decided to award 2 ex aequo winners due to the high quality of their papers and their presentations. So now it's the exciting announcement. So the 2 winners are Peter Rieberg and Giacomo Rosso. So if you are here, I invite you to come on the stands. So our first winner is Peter Rieberg from Jönköping University, Sweden, for his paper titled Manufacturing Automation and its Implications for Local Employment. Peter's research addresses the critical and timely topic of automation technologies, which are spreading unevenly across different regions and time periods, impacting employment in the manufacturing sector. His research uses extensive Swedish microdata and employs a robust methodology. His findings suggest a positive relationship between automation and employment growth in manufacturing within municipalities, likely due to the reallocation of workers to non-manufacturing establishments. So the strength of his outcomes, demonstrated through a shift share instrumental variable analysis, highlight the innovative and important contribution of this paper. So again, bravo. And as for the second winner, so it's Giacomo Rosso from the University of Torino, Italy, for his paper entitled Local Economy, Housing Prices and Neighborhood Change. Giacomo's research examines the impact of real estate prices on local economic activities in cities. To do this, he uses a unique data set of retailers and service providers that is geographically located, along with detailed information on sale and rental prices. So this paper addresses a pressing issue in urban development by providing fresh insights as it shifts focus from the commonly studied impact on the economy on housing prices to the opposite. So Giacomo's clear explanation on how his work advances recent literature combined with a convincing and meticulously conducted empirical analysis make it a remarkable contribution. So thank you again for this good paper and congratulations. So just in conclusion, I would like to offer my congratulations to Peter and Giacomo, and for sure their enthusiasm and dedication shown by these young scientists are promising signs for the future of the ERSA. Yes.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you to the 2 winners, Peter and Giacomo. It's nice to see that we have a future with these young boys. Now, we go instead to the ERSA Prize 2024, which is not for young people, but for very, let's say, distinguished and prestigious scholars in the field of regional science. So I'd like to call Daniela Constantin to the floor because she's the chair of the jury committee. Thank you very much.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, this year ERSA turned 64 years of existence, 64 years of support and encouragement for the European regional science community and beyond, receiving great recognition and respect worldwide. Therefore, the ERSA Prize, the most prestigious prize awarded by this association, is a major label of excellence, the excellence ERSA stands for. It is a reward for those regional scientists at the European level with outstanding contributions in terms of research and publication records, contribution to society, as well as contribution to the regional science community. The ERSA Prize has been conferred every year since 2003, and the names of the winners speak for themselves. It is a great honor to remind you these names as a token of appreciation for their tremendous contribution to the development of regional science. The first winner in 2003 was Peter Nijkamp, followed by Jan Pelling, Åke Andersson, Martin Beckman, Jacques Thies, Tony Venables, Paul Cheshire, Roberto Camani, Piet Rietveld, Manfred Fischer, Björgi Johansson, Jan Osterhaven, Bernard Fingleton, Roberta Capello, Andres Rodriguez Pos, Philip McCann, Alessandra Fajan, Juan Cuadrado Roura, Diego Puga, and Otilo Varga. Please, let's give them a big round of applause. The independence of the jury is essential to ensure objectivity and service in the best interest of regional science. This year, the jury was composed of Anne-Catherine Nieboer, Joke van Dijk, Michel Rimou, and myself as chair for Europe, Geneviève Giuliano for North America, and Pedro Amaral for Latin America. The jury made proposals, and the 7-name list of excellent regional scientists resulted. Then each member of the jury independently graded the candidates considering 3 criteria, as I already mentioned: the research results, contribution to society, and contributions to regional science community. The overall grades were very high, showing a fierce competition. And as always, we have a number 1. So, in the name of the ERSA Prize jury, let me introduce and sincerely congratulate Professor Simona Iamarino, the recipient of the 2024 ERSA Prize. From her rich biography, I have selected the following. Simona Iamarino is Professor of Applied Economics at the Department of Economics and Business at the University of Cagliari, Italy, and visiting professor at the Department of Geography Environment of the London School of Economics, United Kingdom. Her main research interests lie in the following areas: multinational corporations, globalization and local economic development, economic geography of innovation and technological change, regional systems of innovation, regional and local economic development and policy. She has published more than 70 articles in major peer-reviewed journals, 2 co-authored books, around 30 book chapters, and numerous working papers, policy reports, and other publications. Simona has a long-term experience in externally funded international research projects and in consultancy projects for various international organizations such as European Commission, OECD, United Nations, and numerous government agencies. Finally, Simona Iamarino serves the scientific community in many ways. a member of the Regional Science Association International, the British and Irish section, a regular and appreciated contributor to the ERSA congresses, including the organization of special sessions, as well as in national sections conferences. In 2021, she delivered a keynote lecture during the 61st ERSA Congress in Pécs, Hungary. Simona, again, warm congratulations and many new achievements for the glory of regional science. Now I invite Professor Roberta Capello to offer the prize to you.
Thank you very much. It's emotional, this, I have to say, because I really didn't expect this. And when I got the news, it was emotional then and it's emotional now. I'm really honored, I'm really humbled and pleased. And I want to obviously thank Rosella and Roberta, the whole ERSA team, the organizer of this amazing conference, and the whole community here, all my colleagues of past and present institutions, because obviously whatever I did it with many other people around me. I am particularly pleased, and when Roberta told me, I couldn't believe that I got this prize. I said, well, I mean, this is also show something else about ERSA, and it is the open-minded, interdisciplinary nature of this community. Because I am one that in the last 30 years or so, I've crossed the boundaries a lot, and I am not only a pure regional scientist, but I have integrated with many other views that I will show today. So even more so, thank you very much. This is, in my opinion, I'm getting old enough to say, is a sign of strength of our community, because many others are closed as silos, precisely because they are not so strong. Interdisciplinarities or multidisciplinarities is something that actually scares other scientific communities. So thank you really, really very much. So I'm going to talk about a topic that has been very dear to me in the last few years. I started working on this in 2018, simply because I had a good intuition in 2015. I was the head of Department of Geography and Environment, and I really couldn't focus on something totally new. But in doing this, I will also just hint to some of the main themes that Rosella has already touch upon, because I wanted to explain and make evident that this is a path, that I'm not coming from nothing in tackling these issues. So why critical raw materials? And very shortly, my research background, precisely, so the triad of elements I think I've contributed the most, technological change, multinational corporation and regions, regional development, regional inequality, and show you very, descriptively the work that I'm doing with my colleagues, and then going gradually and hopefully to show you what the implication for regions, and particularly European region, all this has. This is a technological tale, first and above all, and we have been working for 6.5 years on this. I have actually to say that the possibility started with a tiny research fund given to me by Oriana Bandiera at the LSE that saw the potential, and I now gradually getting finally to the geography, but there was a lot of work before going there. So why critical raw materials? I mean, the mining, refining, processing, smelting of this critical raw material are, you know, the technological materials, are the spices, the vitamins of the new industry transition 4.0 and major technology, and particularly the dual technology. So they are fundamental inputs, even in very, very tiny quantity, for mechanical, electrical, and chemical properties, without which otherwise we wouldn't go into or able to go into digital and green transition. This, I mean, obviously means that their demand has increased and is projected to increase at rates that are quite astonishing. And the other thing that characterizes this material is that their supply chains are extremely vulnerable because they are highly geolocalized across the globe, are highly subject to trade wars, and we have seen quite a few in the last 10 years. The deposit, even at the subnational level, quite concentrated, but are often concentrated in countries where the political instability and the general situation doesn't really make it easy to reach them. And there is, so far, very low sustainability or recyclable rate. So the relevance, I don't need to talk that much, from the G20 to the European Commission that started to produce manuals on this already after 2010, but in the last 3 or 4 years, obviously the topic has been really, really becoming hot, and the latest act was November last year, the European Critical Raw Material Act. That is a comprehensive strategy on which I will get back as soon as I explain a bit more what is this trajectory. Just to tell you, in fact, that this is not something that these multinationals, technology and regions, and you will see that there is a path in this new topic, comes from actually in the late 90s. I mean, we are all, in fact, getting older. That's why probably one wouldn't be eligible for prizes. Comes from the work done with John Cantwell in the late 90s for my Marie Curie grant postdoc at that time. And apart from many articles published, we published in 2003 this book, where the main message of the book was that the network of multinational corporations, both intra-firm across geography and inter-firm between the multinational and the local firms for the creation of new technologies, were behind the European regional hierarchy, characterized by a few higher order centers of technological excellence, some very specialized, technologically specialized regions where multinationals were sourcing certain capacity, and a lot of technological backward lower order regions. And actually, I have to say that that geography reflects much of what I've seen also in these days at this conference. This was followed exactly 10 years later, in 2013, by my book with Phil. where, I mean, it's more conceptually oriented, I mean, offers a lot of empirical evidence, and again, from a different angle, shows that all the global institutional and technological transformation and trends of the latest, we adopt also a historical perspective, are interacting with the change of the firm, the multinational corporation, and that the relationship between multinational corporation and geography was and is characterized and, turns on a pivot, which is creation and management, diffusion and management of new knowledge. This is behind some few regions that benefit a lot, the winners, and others, most of them, that do not see any benefits and actually pay the cost. This was followed by more recent work. This, I want to mention the work done with Marianne Feldman, Frederick Guy, and this is the second paper with Caroline Yoramashvili on the big tech. The big tech and the property of new technologies that allow these gigantic firms with market power to, really drag resources from other regions. And in these papers, we show that the agglomeration economies interact with these network and platform-based monopolies, and we call it monopolies because they are, and therefore these external returns, external economies interact with internal to the firm economies, increasing and consolidating their power, dragging acquisition from all over the US, dragging firms that are then acquired in very, very few locations. And more recently, and this has been probably, you have seen in some other session in this conference with my colleague Andres and friend Andres Rodriguez Pose, Andrea Dimmer and Michael Storper, the regional development traps. The regional development traps that, funny enough, are maps. The maps that we show here are very similar to also the maps found on my technological work 20 years before. The main message that comes from the regional development trap, and there are many other, Luis and others here, that have been working on this, the correlation with many other indicators. But what is important is to say these are the regions that cannot recover their former dynamism in terms of income, employment, productivity, with respect to themselves in the past, with respect to their national peers and their European peers. To be highlighted, these regions are not only the poor regions, but are also high-income regions that, have lost their dynamism. And they represent a political threat, a social risk for Europe, for the discontent. Many people are working on that. But what seems to be, obviously, the cause of all this is technological globalization forces, and also, obviously, always interacting with the local institution. Now, this comes from my Google page. So you can see that innovation, regions, and multinational are there. Back to these critical raw materials, we have published in this work of 6.5 years, one on regional studies, the second one on research policy, another one is out as a GSS paper, and then we have at least 4 or 5 in progress. With all my colleagues, you can see I mean, from Andreas Diemers and Richard Perkins to Andreas Cani and George Lee, that are at the moment working really tightly with me, Adil Said, and Diego Dessi and Stefano Usai, now in Cagliari. So what are the research questions? Just to let you understand a bit what we are doing. My concern is innovation, as I said. We are interested in the new technology that are based on these critical raw materials, their associated actors and geographies. Obviously, we have papers with model, identification strategies, various, techniques to address endogeneity, reverse causality, and omitted variable. We have very strong, I have to say, particularly the research policy paper went around 5 times the reviewers that were amazing. So if you are here, please show, because I learned so much, as rarely happens. And but in any case, I won't talk about all that, okay? Just a story. Has this technological dependence on critical raw materials increased over time? To what extent different technology, and particularly those of the dual transition, depend on them? How the supply condition of these materials influence industry competitiveness? What are the location and technological strategies of multinational corporations, because are mostly multinational corporations that develop this technology, that rely on this CRM, and which places are the winners and the losers of this base new technological paradigm? How do we study this? First of all, patents. There was no other way to start. We started an analysis across technologies, 40 years, then we focused on more and more recent years. For example, now we are concentrating on the last. We use, the standard classification to look at 5-digit technology, but also at aggregate areas to, have an idea of the trends. What we do is natural language processing. Now, we are even redeveloping some of the algorithm in order to be even more precise, but it's standard nowadays. And we look in the detailed text of the patents, but also even in the abstract, because robustness check for the reviewers. We are aware of a series of problems. A patent can actually tell we don't use cobalt or lithium. I'll show you in a minute how many of these materials are actually critical and strategic. But we rely on an investigation of the history of technology, Nathan Rosenberg and Dick Nelson, in order to verify our, grasp of this phenomenon in technology. Initially, we excluded mining and metallurgy, but now with my colleagues in Cagliari, we are also looking at that. And these are all the other data that so far we have been using. Global production from British Geological Survey and United States Geological Survey, the European Geological Data Infrastructure, UN Comtrade for export and imports of digital products and green products. Now we are merging Orbis IP and Orbis cross-border to look at location and technological strategies of multinational, and so on and so forth. Let me just tell you something. I worked for a year and a half, and now I'm back in Cagliari also to work with geologists. And because at some point I really felt that I really didn't know what were these materials. And I was calling them conflict minerals, like on the newspaper. But they said, well, actually, these are not technically minerals. You have to call, and they explained to me what was a metal, what was a metalloid, what were rare earths, and why they are heavy and light. And it's a constant going back to the geologists. We also put a fantastic grant together in the UK. We passed the first 2 steps, but we weren't funded because the panel was economists, and they didn't like the methodology of the geologists. So just to tell you how important it is to actually integrate knowledge, right? So this is an example that just shows you that patents capture this phenomenon, okay? I mean, the lightning shift, the lightning technology had a big shift, is recorded on various books of technological change, and they went from the use of tungsten, okay, incandescent light, to the use of gallium and LED, okay? And you can see how the patents reflect exactly the trajectory. These things are long-term, and you can see that in 1972, Maruska was the first to get the blue properties, blue and white properties of gallium, until then Akasaki found the right formula, and in fact for that he got Nobel Prize 2006 for physics. So you can see that patents reflect. We have a number of these historical examples, so this comforted us that we are not looking randomly to things. This is another example. This concerns only 13 selected rare metals, and you can see that the general trend over 40 years of patents are obviously a growing technological dependence. So these are some of the most famous, okay? You can see lithium, you can see cobalt, everybody talks about this too, but actually I have to tell you that these are not the most important. The most important are indium, gallium, molybdenum. As there are at the moment crossing all the lists that are more or less coincident of the EU, of the US, Australia, Canada, and Japan, we have a list of 55 of this material. You can see from here, these are the WIPO big classification. These are, you know, at least one mention, so one of the rare metal. While if you look at the other there, you can see that there are obviously semiconductors, use them all. Okay, here you have tantalum, cobalt, gallium, indium, and so on and so forth, but also that green energy heavily rely on these materials, and many of them, fuel cells, okay, biofuels, wind turbines, is all on this material. So we use this using a conceptual framework that comes from technological progress and innovation literature, in particular science, technology push versus demand pull, and technological regimes. Technological regimes that have 3 properties: the knowledge base, and in fact, we see that during the history of the last 100 and more years, you can see scientific discoveries also leading, changing in materials, and therefore it changes the knowledge base. Technological opportunities, because the emergence of new materials, but sometimes gallium has always been there. The problem is that nobody had seen the properties of blue and white. So, I mean, enable technological functions, and then appropriability of the condition that is obviously shaped by the availability of these critical raw materials. With Phil, moreover, in a very old article on research policy, we show that this has also very specific geographical footprints. All this fits amazingly well with the notion of technological paradigm, and we know that we are right into a process of technological paradigm shift. These are those critical raw materials that are actually connected in particularly with solar and wind energy. Many are totally unknown to the public if you look at newspapers, right? Dysprosium, neodymium are rare earths, and molybdenum for wind energy and wind turbines. These are also other examples that link these patents to the classification. A patent can be a patent in wind turbine, but it can be also double classified in material technology. And this shows how the renewable energy patents are actually much more likely to be classified as material technology. So showing really that there is science leading technology, discovery of science. And you can see that the share of patent renewable energy that uses critical raw material is not only much higher than all other technologies, but also growing. This is this brings about a bit of geography, because you can see this is a difference between critical raw material production and reserve share. So you can, the production at the international level is intended as the refining and processing of this material that are then input in technologies and technological-based products, independently from where they are mined and extracted. This shows that China, despite being one of the countries of the world with larger deposit, produces much more. Why this? Because China has seen this much before us and has secured through trade and foreign direct investment the control of the major sources. I've been in Africa in the last 2 years, and you can see that mining companies are mostly Chinese. On the contrary, Canada also is the bottom of the graph, has actually quite good deposit, not like China, but there is no capability anymore of processing, and therefore it imports, okay? So it's not only the possibility of having the natural deposit, the geological source that determine competitiveness. And this is the list of the biggest firms that develop this technology that are related to critical raw materials, and in particular, digital and green transition. I mean, you cannot see because it's not good, the quality of my chart, but from Samsung to Toyota, all the big electronic firms, and there is also Apple, and these are just the top 40 firms, basically having in their hands the patents of all this. But I can tell you that not only there are many big tech, but the big tech are also started to invest in mining, and there is evidence of that, okay? This is just a broad geography. The red balls obviously show you the number of patents, okay, across all the 60 or 55 critical raw materials that we have considered, and you can see what are the location, right? Is the cores of the world, is the concentration of the big multinationals. Then the production share, you can see China, strong is Australia, Russia. Funny enough, you can see maybe all the green dots are where there are deposits. Africa has a lot of them. Latin America, particularly around Chile, Bolivia, Peru, and you cannot see production there because these materials are there extracted and exported. And here becomes, closer to the last part of the presentation. What are the worries of the EU? Obviously, the demand of this critical raw material is going to increase. The Commission predicts a rise between 10 and 20 times in the next 2 decades, okay? And, you know, the demand for rare earths, for many of these materials, not only cobalt and lithium, is gonna increase exponentially. Obviously, we have research, science might find a substitute or a better way to recycle, but it's not so simple, and the materials are, it's the new oil, but it's much more diversified. So the EU came up with this strategy that is part of the open strategic autonomy strategy. And therefore, this is in the Critical Raw Material Act in November, set these parameters, this target, this objective, okay? EU extraction has to be at least 10% internal to the EU because we don't have big deposit. We have for 1 or 2, recently phosphates have been found in Norway that probably will make us, as Europe, rather independent, but EU processing 40%, EU recycling 15%, external sources no more than 65% from a single exporter country from outside the EU. Now, our worries are 3. Material scarcity in the EU, because we are scarce anyway, and long-term massive investment. Social license to operate and the geography of the cost and the distribution in and out of the EU, and this open strategic autonomy that uses sometimes a language association with like-minded countries, which is not entirely clear to me. And probably it represents also another missing opportunity to establish fairer, really fairer trade and investment relation with other countries. These are the deposits. I just wanted to tell you that this is something that we are reconstructing desperately because the European geological infrastructure on this data has all holes. And this is not actually a good starting point for having a policy on this, right? We are looking at mining companies. There are more than 8,000 in Europe, but I mean, many are foreigners, moreover, and we are trying to understand what technology they employ. Anyway, there are some concentration in the northern country, Portugal, Spain, some scattered around, and in particular in the Now, what is, 5 minutes. This mineral and these materials are critical but for technology, but at the same time have very, very nasty effects on the environment. Their mining and extraction creates water pollution, soil degradation and pollution, loss of, bioresources. It's have really, really nasty effects. This is, one example from the Bolivia farmers where the land was the soil was completely destroyed by mining of lithium. And on the other hand, there are also much worse situations because cobalt mining in 2 regions, don't forget that also African countries have actually very specific places and regions. North Kivu and Katanga have seen wars, exploitation of human rights, child labor, forced labor, something horrendous, and it's related to this. This is just one example because in Africa it's been like this for a long time. But this social alliance to operate is actually even worse in Europe and is becoming, right? These are a few examples. Covas dos Barroso is in Portugal. and there are public demonstrations because not in my backyard, okay? This is to show precisely that, you know, from wind turbine to mining this material, the European Union and Commission has to think about how the legitimate worries, we need this material, but the legitimate worries of the people are actually there. This is Tréguenec in France. There are many other places. I have regions in Sweden, I have regions and in Belgrade now. It's all over the newspapers. Behind this, there are also very vested interests from big companies, oil companies, for example. And there was also the presumption that in Belgrade, behind, there is Russia, that is a state and oil company compacted. So, you know, and this is the last of my slide. I mean, we import, and we have not been able in Europe to think about a way to interact with Africa, which is our neighbor, moreover, offering the building of capabilities, processing and refining capabilities, investment that enrich both parts. And so, in the last few months, the agreements made with Europe have been broken by Namibia, by Zambia, Zimbabwe, and therefore, this is something that still is something, an open question. We should pay attention to our internal matters, but also pay attention on the way we actually interact with the rest of the world, okay? So my points of conclusion are really three. Understand technological transitions, because it's not all shiny. There are implications as technological change has always had historically, okay? And factor in the geographical unevenness of the impact of the dual transition, which has very strong regional footprint, and we are working precisely on this. Some of the poorest places of the global south, and in some of the peripheral regions of the north, global north, and trying to align these policies. These are industrial policies. The CRM Act is a big trade and industrial policies, no regional, space blind, but with very serious footprints and consequences at the regional level that are not thought. It's a good example also for the discussion we had with Joachim this morning. And try to align this with internal cohesion policies, and also, at this point, open, inclusive, and fair international relations. Thank you.
Okay, so we move to the last part of our session. You know, I have said thanks to Thomas and his team. I said thank you also to our supporters like the JRC, but I haven't said thank you to important people. As the French say, cherchez la femme. And here we have to search for two of them, which are Nurul and Elisabeth, two fantastic ladies. I think they made our life easier, believe me. Not only mine, but also those that are around. They are fantastic pillars for our associations. So I'll ask, well, I have to say a few words, but I said that. I asked Thomas if he has to say a few words of leave. You say goodbye. You say see you at the gala dinner.
Okay, well, you already talked about Nurul and Elisabeth. I think we should have...
and the students.
And yes, and the 24 students that were here working for us. And there are three institutions, and then the people that are behind. José Menezes, which is the mayor of the municipality, my friend and my colleague at university. Well, he's socialist, I'm not socialist, but anyway, we are very good friends. And he was tremendous. He was, in fact, the net of this with old school, with this building, with the transportation of a little bit higher chairs to the school. So José Menezes was crucial. Luso-American Foundation, partially supported the Paul Krugman travel here, and the regional government, the section of research, also sponsored a little bit our work. Thank you very much.
So, this is an au revoir, and we are going to now to tell you where we will be next year. You know, we will be in Athens, so I'd like to call Yanis to the floor, and we have the ceremony where Thomas gives the flag of ERSA to Yanis, so that now the problem is of Yanis.
Do you have also the video? Sorry? Do you have the video? Usually we show the video.
Oh, yes. Do you want a video first?
Yeah.
Well, first, before handling the flag, it's better to see the video if we agree to go there. Okay. So, what do you say? Do we go there? Do we want to go there? I think with the beach we have seen, that's okay, okay? And the sea. So, thank you, Yanis. So, we are here, and we do. So, Thomas, you give the flag. And I invite all the Greek participants to come here.
Yeah.
Please.
Dimitris
and all the Greek that are present, please come here. Maria, whoever, please come here. Yeah, you see a big group.
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you very much, and see you at the gala dinner, and then in Athens. But I think that the buses are waiting here outside. Where is Thomas? Yeah, are we? No, where they are? I don't know. Yeah.
So the buses, you go down until the school, then turn right into the place where we had the get-together party, and then on the left there is the bus station. And then you can take the buses there. The buses will go now at 6:30, and then we'll return at 10:30. Another company those who are in Praia will be there at 10:30 as well. So those who want to go to Praia and pay the usual fee that you pay there, the other buses will come here to exactly these Alto das Covas. At 10:30 we leave the Golf. We leave the Galadina.
We go all together now.
We go all together, yes, we can go together.